Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Tuesday, the 25th of May 2021. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to use the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot for today's reading. Let's see what the cards have to say about Tuesday. Let's have a look. Okay. Just going to shuffle these a few times. Okay, so the first card, Page of Wands in reverse. The Knight of Cups. And the Ten of Cups in reverse. Okay. So the Page of Wands is a young man who's trying his best and he's very, very motivated. He doesn't know exactly what he's going to do yet, but he knows he wants to do something. So he's full of life and enthusiasm and ambition, and he wants to succeed. He's the kind of person who'll put an ad in the paper saying, any job required, will do any type of work for any price. So more enthusiasm than sense, really. He's willing, he's able, but what's lacking is focus. He is going to offer himself and his energy to pretty much anyone who will give him a chance. And unfortunately, because he's not specific and knowledgeable about what he's doing and what his strengths are and what he will do and what he won't do, it's easy to take advantage of him. And he's the kind of person who has to learn as he goes out into the world that not everyone is his friend and not everyone has his best interest at heart. And once he learns that, he may go through anger and he may become destructive, but it's a whole process of becoming more self-assured and confident and more focused in terms of what he's going to do with his life. So the card is in reverse. So the thing that you do have is you do have focus and you know what it is you want very, very clearly, but you may feel discouraged. You may feel like you don't have the energy to pursue it, or it's constantly escaping from you and you're chasing after it. And you may feel a little bit flat in that sense. And you may feel like, you know what, I've put all this energy in, I'm trying to do my best here, and things aren't going my way. That then leads to the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is very extreme in his feelings. So extreme feelings here is something that isn't totally foreign to us over the last week or so, because we've had energy which is challenging at times. And the problem has been the emotional response. And the Knight of Cups is the kind of guy who gets rejected and completely goes into despair, and he will never love again, and it's all hopeless and it's all over, and he catastrophizes. He also goes to the other end of the extreme. He sees a tiny little chance for success at the end of the horizon, and he uses all of his energy to get there. He's also super ambitious. He wants to achieve something, and he really builds up his hopes, and he pursues this kind of relentlessly, and he is super, super driven, and he's able to compartmentalize different parts of his being so that something that he cares about and something that promises a lot becomes everything, and he becomes obsessive about it and goes after it to the extent where he could hurt himself or other people. If he gets it at the end, then great, he'll be extremely happy. If he doesn't, then he'll be very, very, very disappointed, and he'll be crushed and devastated and all of those things. So the Knight of Cups is Romeo, I always think, from Romeo and Juliet, because he's completely over the top in his affections, and he's short-sighted in the bigger picture of his life. Let's say he's 17 years old, he falls in love, or he has a desire to join King Arthur and become a Knight of the Round Table, and he does everything in his power to get there. So the energy is available to him, which is interesting in connection to this card. But the emotional response to actual outcomes, so good or bad, is way over the top, and he then has to be kind of managed. So when he's crying and in despair and inconsolable, someone else has to come along and has to say, there, Knight of Cups, everything's going to be fine. Let's look at the bigger picture here. Let's regroup and let's look at how you can grow emotionally and pursue something else and kind of regain hope in the process of life. So the Knight of Cups, in connection to this, means that if you are disappointed and if you feel like you're not getting what you want, you could really take it to another level and throw your toys out of the pram and say, do you know what? If they don't like me, then I'm not going to like them back, and I'm going to resign and walk out of here. I'm going to not just walk out of here, I'm going to storm out of here, and I'm going to take my cape and swirl it so that everyone can see how dissatisfied I am. It's really shooting yourself in the foot. It's just going for the emotional satisfaction of that moment. It's like if you're standing before the judge and that judge decides your fate and you really dislike the judge and you're like, okay, I'm going to show this judge that I really just hate him. And you call him names because in the moment it feels good to call him a fool or whatever it may be. He then is going to react even more badly, and instead of giving you, I don't know, just as an example, like a suspended sentence, he gives you 5 years just because you haven't been able to be quiet about your emotions, your extreme emotions, and you're calling him names. So you've stepped on his toes, he steps back on your toes, is just as vindictive and gives you a much bigger sentence. And it's because of this lack of emotional control. So it's really not going to serve you today to be all over the place in terms of your emotions. Finally, we've got the Ten of Cups, and the Ten of Cups is a happy outcome. It's happy families. It's all of your hopes and dreams coming true. It's the perfect life. Family, house and security, love, good weather, green pastures, children playing. It's just the epitome of your hopes and dreams being realized. And again, it's in reverse. So it may seem that everyone else is happy and gets what they want in life, but you don't. And it's really the source material for envy and jealousy and feeling like you're the only one who suffers on planet Earth. And that really feeds into the Knight of Cups. Because if you're the only one being persecuted, then you're entitled to really lash out and to persecute other people. So if you never get what you want, then if someone says something to you, because you're in such great pain and you're suffering, then you're entitled to get really angry or to be really, really unpleasant because everything goes wrong for you anyway. So this is challenging. There's a real potential for self-pity and feeling victimized and hard done by. But what we do have is we have focus. That's the one thing that you can do. And we have experience because the Page of Wands is in reverse. So you're not like this 17 or 15-year-old kid who's never been around the block before. You know how to deal with your emotions. You can focus in on those and you can ask yourself the question, is this real? Like, who's it, Byron Katie, the work? Is it true? Is it true that I never get what I want? Or does it just feel that way? And if you ask that question, it's really, really likely that it just feels that way. So if you... Oh, I have to share something that's really embarrassing, but I'm going to share it anyway. I was in the city the other day and I was just walking around looking at the buildings and stuff. And I saw this happy gay couple and hugging and kissing and pretty much skipping down the road. And I realized that I was horribly lonely and that I felt it was like almost, I made it all about me. It was like a personal insult that these two guys who have nothing to do with me or don't even know I exist were happy and having the best time ever. I felt like, wow, this is so painful to me to see their happiness, and I couldn't be delighted for them. I mean, you don't see a lot of gay couples, so I should have, I mean, the real thing would have been to say, oh, okay, how great and wonderful they're like together. But I was just like, that's what I'm never going to have. I'm going to be alone forever. No one loves me. And I'm just going to be miserable for the rest of my life. And it made me want to relapse. to be honest. I'm in recovery. So it was just like, well, why are you bothering not to drink and to get off your face when life is going to be brutal and cold and unloving anyway? You might as well get messed up. So instead of going to the bottle shop, I went into the church and I prayed, and that didn't work either. I was just like, why am I praying to this cold, unloving God who's making me lonely and miserable? And that didn't work. I was there for Mass and I stayed for about 10 minutes. I got fed up and I just walked around and looked at nature and stuff and walked until it kind of lifted. And once it lifted, I was like, oh, thank God I didn't relapse, because it makes no sense. Their relationship and their happiness, first of all, isn't a personal insult directed at me. And second of all, good for them. And third of all, you don't know what's going to happen in future. You don't know what's going to happen to you, whether you are going to be alone or not. And is a relationship really the be all and end all? Because I say this in my personal readings. If you put anything on a pedestal, if you say, oh, okay, if I find a partner or I make money or I have a house or I get the dream job, then everything is going to be wonderful and okay. You're putting those things on a pedestal and you're putting so much pressure on them that they're very unlikely to happen, because nothing is the be all and end all. And if you're creating that sort of emotional imbalance, you're going to be running after it forever and ever, and much less likely to actually attain it than if you find happiness in different areas of your life. So you are able to focus, you're able to ask the question, is this real? Or am I just overreacting? Is my reaction reasonable? Or am I being a little bit much here? Am I being a bit OTT and over the top and dramatic? And is there something I can do for myself to soothe these difficult emotions? What can I focus on that's going to give me a sense of comfort and joy and pleasure in the here and now, so I don't have to act out? Number-wise, we've got 10 and 2 chord cards, which count as 1. So 1 and 1 is 2, and 10 is 12. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 is about communication and new beginnings. So have a word with yourself and look at what you want to interact with rather than what you feel like you haven't got. And and you're able to make a fresh start in terms of taking charge of your own emotions and your own perspective by communicating with yourself clearly and effectively and not letting yourself be swept away by negative feelings. So not the easiest day in the world, but certainly one where you can make a lot of personal progress. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, you'll see a button that says book your reading. If you would like to speak to me, then click on that button to order your reading with me. I use the tarot, astrology, and numerology in my personal readings. To draw up your astrology chart, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. And then I have a snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born, your birth chart. And that really tells me a lot about you. It's kind of like, I call it the blueprint of your soul, because it offers so much information. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share the video online. Have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.